In 2026, America is celebrating 250 years of independence, industry, and innovation. But when most people think about luxury fragrance, they still look towards France, Italy, or more recently, the Middle East. What many fragrance buyers do not realize is that some of the most interesting alternatives to expensive designer and niche scents are being crafted right here in the United States. Today, I'm testing 8 American fragrance inspiration houses. Alt Fragrances, Montagne Parfums, the Dua brand, Alexandria Fragrances, The Clone, Oakcha, Barrett Fragrances, and Inspired by Scent. I will give you a mini review of 3 fragrances from each house, 24 fragrances in total, and explain what each company does differently. By the end, I'll tell you which house may be best for the beginners, which one offers the most detailed interpretations, and which one delivers the strongest concentrations, which one has the best presentation, and which newer house surprised me the most. Now, those are condensed overviews, not complete reviews. Most of those fragrances will receive full side-by-side comparisons in future videos. Let's begin in Miami, Florida, with the first American fragrance inspiration house I have ever purchased from. Alt Fragrances was my introduction to American fragrance alternatives, years before I ever imagined creating a YouTube channel. The company has become one of the most recognizable direct-to-consumer brands in this category. Its central message is simple. A large part, what you pay for with luxury fragrance is the name, packaging, prestige, and advertising budget. Now, Alt offers clean presentation, recognizable inspirations, generous atomizers, and published note pyramids. All of that in recyclable glass bottles. Now, based on my experience, many alt fragrances are simpler and more linear than the originals, but that is not necessarily a disadvantage. Sometimes you may want the central character of an expensive fragrance without every subtle transition. Here are 3 examples. Caribbean Water, inspired by Creed Virgin Island Water. Immediately goes after that tropical vacation DNA with lime, mandarin, creamy coconut, florals, and soft woods. The opening is sharper than Virgin Island Water, and the coconut is sweeter and more obvious. Once it settles, however, it becomes a smooth lime and coconut mixture that feels like a cold tropical drink on a beach. It's not as airy, transparent, or naturally blended as Creed, but the inspiration is unmistakable. Longevity is moderate, and it does outlast Virgin Island Water, which, unfortunately, is not particularly difficult. The verdict? This is an easy, uncomplicated fragrance for vacations, pool days, and casual summer wear. Honestly, the scent is extremely mood-altering, one of my favorite. Next is Saxophone, inspired by Maison Margiela Replica Jazz Club. Saxophone moves in a completely different direction. This is a dark, boozy combination of rum, vanilla, tobacco, spices, woods, and subtle leathery effect. Imagine a dimly lit lounge with polished wood, leather seating, and tobacco lingering in the air. Compared with Jazz Club, Saxophone feels warmer, sweeter, and slightly denser. It loses some of the airy movement between the rum, tobacco, and vanilla, but it gains strength and immediacy. This is one of the stronger performing alt fragrances in today's group. The verdict? A noticeable sweet evening fragrance for cool weather, dates, and a nights out. Next is Reality, inspired by Louis Vuitton Imagination. Reality attempts to recreate the famous Imagination combination of sparkling citrus, ginger, neroli, black tea, woods, and abroxan. Opening is energetic with bergamot, citron, orange, and ginger leading the way. The tea and clean amber woody elements become clearer as it dries. Now, compare with Louis Vuitton Imagination. Reality is simpler and more linear. The citrus feels sharp, and the tea does not have the same depth or polished development. The performance is solid, and the overall DNA is very recognizable. This is an approachable, everyday interpretation, but not the most refined Imagination alternative featured in this video. Alt's greatest strength is accessibility. The fragrances are easy to understand, the inspirations are clearly identified, and the shopping process is straightforward. For someone just beginning to explore American fragrance alternatives, Alt may be one of the easiest starting points. Our next house takes a more enthusiast-driven approach with small batch production and a reputation for creating more than just the obvious opening. Montagne Parfums has developed one of the most passionate following among fragrance enthusiasts. I know because I'm one of them. Rather than producing enormous quantities and allowing bottles to sit in a warehouse, Montagne says it compounds its fragrances fresh and in relatively small batches. Now, obviously that can mean limited availability and longer fulfillment times, but in my experience, the quality frequently justifies the wait. My first Montagne purchase was its interpretation of Xerjoff Torino 21. Imaginary and Image later convinced me that this house could handle completely different fragrance styles while still paying close attention to the transitions and dry down. Let's go over 3 examples. Torino 2021, inspired by Xerjoff Torino 21. Torino 2021 opens with a powerful blast of mint, lemon, and basil and aromatic green herbs. It feels cold, sharp, energetic, and extremely refreshing. After the opening, thyme, rosemary, blackcurrant, lavender, and verbena create a more textured herbal character. Montaigne version initially feels slightly sharper and drier than Xerjoff Torino 21, but it follows the original structure very closely. More importantly, it avoids becoming a mint toothpaste or household cleaner, always a danger with this type of fragrance. Performance is strong for a fresh scent. This is one of the better options in this video for extreme heat, outdoor activity, and anyone who loves crisp green fragrances. Next on the list is Imaginary, inspired by Louis Vuitton Imagination. Now, Imaginary opens with citron, bergamot, orange, ginger, neroli before gradually revealing black tea, incense, gaiac wood, and ambroxan. The opening is brighter, sharper, and more lemon-forward than Louis Vuitton Imagination. The tea is also slightly less deep and refined. But the dry down is where Imaginary becomes much more convincing. The tea, clean woods, and amber-like warmth come together beautifully, capturing the polished and highly wearable personality of the original. You may notice that this bottle is almost full. That is my third bottle from this fragrance. This is a versatile, high-quality Imagination interpretation that works for the office, casual wear, warm weather, and almost any season. Lastly, Image, inspired by Amouage Reflection Man. Image recreates the clean, white floral and creamy sandalwood character of Reflection Man. It begins with rosemary, pepper, and petitgrain before moving into neroli, jasmine, ylang, and orris. Sandalwood, cedar, vetiver, and patchouli form the base. Compared with Reflection Man, Image feels lighter, airier, and less opulent. The Amouage has a greater floral richness and more luxurious density, while Image emphasizes the smooth sandalwood. Once the opening settles, this becomes extremely polished. Projection is moderate rather than aggressive. This is an excellent work or formal fragrance for someone who wants to smell refined without announcing their arrival from across the building. Montaigne's advantage is attention to detail. These fragrances often attempt to recreate the development of the original rather than copying its most recognizable opening. But another company takes slightly different approach, having enormous variety, powerful extrait style concentrations, lists of discontinued fragrances, and some truly unusual hybrid. For that, we are heading to California. Dua brand is known for 2 things: concentration and variety. Its catalog is enormous. Dua creates interpretation of current designer and niche fragrances, but it also recreates the discontinued scent that collectors may no longer be able to find. Then there are the hybrids, combinations of 2 or more familiar fragrances DNA placed together. This makes Dua one of the most experimental houses in this video, although the size of the catalog can feel overwhelming when you visit the website. These are dense, highly concentrated fragrances, and some might benefit from resting after delivery. When you get them, they come in a very nice pouch and usually are extremely well shipped. Here are 3 examples that I selected from my collection. Desert Reflection, inspired by Amouage Reflection Man. Desert Reflection takes the elegant floral woody character of Reflection Man and presents it in a much denser, extrait style format. Rosemary and neroli introduce the fragrance. Rose de May and jasmine creates the floral heart, while sandalwood, cedar, and patchouli form a rich foundation. Now, compared with the Reflection Man, this feels heavier and less airy. The floral heart is fuller, and the woods carry considerably more weight. It does not have that spacious, luminous quality of the Amouage. but it definitely delivers the recognizable DNA with a greater density and persistence. Projection can be substantial, so spray carefully. This is a bold, dressed-up interpretation for someone who wants Reflection Man's character with more weight and power. The next is Scarlet Warrior, inspired by Creed Viking. Scarlet Warrior captures the unusual hot and cold contrast that make Creed Viking so distinctive. Bergamot and lemon meet pink pepper, peppermint, rose, lavender, and sandalwood, vetiver, and patchouli. The mint creates a cooling sensation while the pepper, spices, and woods create a heat underneath it. Now, compared with Viking, Scarlet Warrior is denser, earthier, and less sparkling. Creed's version has a more natural transition and greater aromatic refinement, while Dua pushes the mint, pepper, and base more aggressively. The extra concentration gives it excellent presence and wear time. This is not a quiet office scent, but a strong choice for anyone who enjoys spicy, aromatic fragrances with personality. Next one is Chilling by the Pacific, inspired by Louis Vuitton Pacific Chill. Chilling by the Pacific takes Pacific Chill fruit, citrus, mint, and herbs and turns up the concentration. Citron, orange, lemon, black currant, mint, and coriander create an energetic opening. Apricot, basil, carrot seed, rose, dates, fig, and amberette add sweetness and depth. Now, compared with Louis Vuitton, Dua's version is thicker, sweeter, and less transparent. The original resembles a chilled fruit and herb drink. This feels more like a concentrated syrup used to make that drink. The advantage is persistence. It holds into that fruity character longer than many fresh fragrances. Out through, overspraying can make it feel heavy. This is a powerful Pacific Chill interpretation that works best when applied with restraint. Dua may be the best house in this video for sheer exploration. You can find direct interpretations of discontinued profiles, hybrids, unusual experiments, and concentrations that are often considerably stronger than the originals. Staying in California, now we move to one of the early pioneers of the modern American fragrance inspiration market, Alexandria Fragrances from Anaheim, California. Founded by Henny Havis, Alexandria Fragrances helped establish the idea that an independent American house could create compelling alternatives to expensive designer and niche fragrance. Its catalog has expanded over the years to include direct inspirations, original compositions, and interpretation of discontinued or difficult-to-find scents. Alexandria combines a deep catalog with higher concentrations and years of community involvement. For today's video, I selected 3 Alexandria interpretations of Louis Vuitton fragrances. We start with Mi Amor, inspired by Louis Vuitton Lovers. Mi Amor opens with a bright bergamot and ginger before moving into exotic floral heart centered around orchid. Sandalwood creates a creamy, polished dry down. Now, the fragrance captures the sunny, clean, floral woody direction of Louis Vuitton Lovers. Compared with the original, Mi Amor feels slightly warmer and more floral. Louis Vuitton has greater transparency, texture, and refinement, but the ginger keeps Alexandria version energetic, while the sandalwood prevents it from becoming too sharp. My early feedback on this is very positive, as it's extremely compliment-friendly. This is a versatile, warm-weather scent for anyone who wants freshness without another standard citrus fragrance. Next is Visionary, inspired by Louis Vuitton Imagination. Visionary opens with bergamot, orange, neroli, and ginger, before cinnamon, black tea, gaiac wood, and ambroxan create a warmer dry down. Compared with Imagination, Visionary feels sweeter, more ginger-heavy, and denser. The tea and amber-like base become prominent after opening, giving it a very recognizable Imagination character. Performance on my skin is around 4 to 6 hours. The opening is not perfectly identical, but the dry down is its most convincing stage. This is a warmer and sweeter interpretation that becomes more accurate as it settles. Last, we have a Pacific Coast, inspired by Louis Vuitton Pacific Chill. Pacific Coast opens with black currant, citron, lemon, orange, and coriander, basil, peppermint, and fruit. The first spray is sweet, juicy, and energetic. Black currant, apricot-like fruitness, and citrus immediately establish the Pacific Chill direction. The opening can feel rougher and less seamlessly blended than the original, and Alexandria places more emphasis on the sweet fruit. But once it dries down, Pacific Coast becomes smoother and moves closer to Louis Vuitton's relaxed fruit and herb character. It also appears to last longer than the original. This is not the smoothest Pacific Chill opening in this video, but the dry down and improved persistence makes it worth considering. We are halfway through the list and the houses are already separating into a very different categories. Alt is the easiest entry point. Montagne emphasizes detail and development. Dua delivers concentration and experimentation. Alexandria brings experience and catalog depth. But the next 4 houses include one of the most mainstream brands in the category, 2 smaller enthusiast companies, and the company that originally inspired me to research the entire video. For our next stop, we are going to Frisco, Texas. As many of you know, MikesGreatScents is still a relatively new channel. The Clone was the first fragrance company to contact me and offer to send products for an honest review. These bottles were provided at no cost, but the company does not control my conclusions. My opinions are based on how the fragrances smell and perform. That package also encouraged me to investigate how many American fragrance companies I had overlooked. In many ways, the idea for this whole video began with this package. Now, the Clone offers a smaller, more curated catalog than houses such as Dua and Alexandria. The packaging is simple, the inspirations are very easy to identify, and the emphasis is clearly on the fragrance. Here are the 3 examples. Imagine Noise, number 87. Inspired by Louis Vuitton Imagination. Imagine Noise number 87 opens with bergamot, citron, and orange before ginger, neroli, and black tea begin to emerge. Ambroxan, gecko wood, and white musk create the clean foundation. The concentration is extrait de parfum, as it is with all of those clones. The opening is softer and less sparkling than Louis Vuitton Imagination, but that also makes it immediately approachable. Ginger and tea become clearer in the dry down, while the Ambroxan creates a polished trail. It has less depth and fewer subtle transitions than the original, but the citrus and tea identity is clearly present. Performance is good. This is a practical, easy-to-wear Imagination alternative for work, travel, and warm weather. Next on the list is Pacific Soul, number 57, inspired by Louis Vuitton Pacific Chill. Now, Pacific Soul, number 57, concentrates on the bright, juicy, uplifting side of Pacific Chill. The opening combines citrus and fruit with an airy sweetness underneath it. Compared with Louis Vuitton Original, this is less green, herbal, and complex. It places more emphasis on an immediately enjoyable fruity character, making it sweeter and more youthful. The simpler structure also makes it extremely easy to wear in hot weather. I'm still conducting comparisons for my next complete Pacific Chill video, but Pacific Chill Soul has already earned compliments during testing. You can see how much I already used in just few weeks of testing. The verdict? This is a sunny, approachable interpretation for someone who prefers the sweeter side of Pacific Chill. Next one is Rouge Veil, number 13, inspired by MFK, Baccarat Rouge 540. Now, Rouge Veil number 13 targets the familiar saffron, amber, sweet woods, and mineral warmth of Baccarat Rouge 540. It creates a warm, sweet, slightly medicinal cloud with an airy burnt sugar effect underneath it. Compared with the original, Rouge Veil feels darker, denser, and less transparent. I have enjoyed the scent, but I have not worn it enough to give you a reliable performance conclusion. The verdict? This is promising, but this one needs more wear before I can give you a complete review. Now, the Clone's smaller catalog might be actually one of its advantages. Instead of sorting through hundreds of releases, buyers receive a more focused selection of recognizable, popular scent profiles. After trying this company, I began ordering from several other American houses. One order from Duke did not arrive before filming and will be covered in a future video. The other orders did arrive, beginning with one of the most visible fragrance brands on social media. Next, we go back to New York, visiting Oakcha, which is one of the most mainstream and visually recognizable houses in today's video. Its heavy glass bottle and consistent design create a more polished presentation than many entry-level alternatives. Oakcha has also moved beyond direct interpretations with theme original collections, including candy-inspired and desert-inspired fragrances that gain significant visibility on TikTok and Instagram. It may be that TikTok push that made me less interested in the brand till now. The marketing and bottles are impressive. but the fragrance inside still has to perform. Let's start with Tango Noir, inspired by Louis Vuitton Pacific Chill. Tango Noir opens with citron, orange, lemon, mint, coriander, and black currant. Apricot, basil, carrot, rose, fig, dates, and amberette appear as it develops. The opening is bright, juicy, and immediately refreshing. Blackcurrant and mint establish the Pacific Chill direction, while apricot and fig make the fragrance sweeter and fuller. Compared with Louis Vuitton, Tango Noir is less transparent and much more fruit-forward. The original has a smoother herbal quality and more natural, chilled drink effect. It's a good scent, but the performance appears to be the limitation. My initial testing suggests approximately 3 to 4 hours of noticeable wear. If that changes over time, I will update in a future video. This scent is enjoyable and well presented, but you might need to reapply it during a long summer day. Next is Bronze Summer, inspired by Tom Ford Soleil Blanc. Bronze Summer recreates the heavy, solar tropical character of Soleil Blanc. It's really good. Warm coconut, white florals, sweetness, and sunscreen-like quality immediately suggest an upscale beach resort. Compared with Tom Ford, Bronze Summer feels creamier, sweeter, and heavier. Soleil Blanc is smoother and airier, while Oakcha emphasizes the tropical coconut. The opening is strong, and my initial tests have been very positive. Although I need still more wear before providing a complete performance review. And this is important. Bronze Summer is not a fresh aquatic beach fragrance. It's a warm, floral, creamy, and intentionally reminiscent of suntan lotion, like the original. This is a rich vacation fragrance for summer evening and anyone who enjoys the smell of luxury sunscreen. I have high hopes for this one. Next is Dusk, inspired by Bleu de Chanel. Dusk opened with grapefruit, lemon, and mint, and pink pepper before ginger, nutmeg, jasmine, and ISO-E Super entered the composition. Vetiver, cedar, sandalwood, patchouli, labdanum, and musk create the woody base. The result is immediately recognizable as part of the Bleu de Chanel family. Clean citrus, aromatic freshness, spices, and smooth woods. Compared with Bleu de Chanel, Dusk feels heavier, warmer, and more concentrated. It lacks some of the Chanel's transparent polish and effortless development, but it provides a stronger, more direct version of that profile. Performance is good. This is one of the easiest fragrances in this entire video to wear for work, evenings, casual situation, and almost any season. Oakcha combines accessible inspiration with some of the most polished presentation in this group. It is especially appealing to buyers who care about how the bottle look, prefer a simple shopping experience, or discover fragrances through social media. Our next company is younger, smaller, and considerably more enthusiast-driven, and it produces one of the biggest surprises in my testing. For that, we are going to go to Denver, Colorado. Barrett Fragrances, founded by Rose Barrett in 2022, Barrett Fragrances is a small batch house, specializing in highly concentrated parfum extracts. Barrett does not always appear to pursue perfect one-to-one recreation. Instead, the company may preserve recognizable DNA while increasing the concentration, adjusting the texture, changing the balance, or attempting to improve performance. That approach will not appeal to everyone, but for buyers who want a familiar fragrance made fuller and stronger, it can be extremely effective. Here are 3 examples. First one is Captivation, inspired by Louis Vuitton L'Immensité. Captivation begins with grapefruit, ginger, and bergamot. Before aquatic notes, sage, rosemary, and geranium appear. Ambroxan, amber, and labdanum create a warm, persistent base. The grapefruit and ginger immediately establish the recognizable L'Immensité direction, while the aromatic heart maintains freshness. Compared with Louis Vuitton, Captivation feels warmer, denser, and more amplified. It sacrifices some of the refinement in exchange for greater presence and longevity. This is a confident, versatile alternative that works in warm weather, but still has enough depth for cooler evenings. Next one is Starboy, inspired by Louis Vuitton Meteor. Starboy opens with mandarin, Sicilian orange, bergamot, before pink pepper, black pepper, neroli, nutmeg, and cardamom add spice. Vetiver creates a clean, slightly earthy foundation. The fragrance is vibrant, spicy, and extremely uplifting. It preserves Meteor's bright citrus and pepper identity while adding more body and warmth. Compared with Louis Vuitton, it feels less transparent and more concentrated, but it maintains the same clean, energetic personality. My initial test suggests approximately 6 to 8 hours of wear, which is strong for this fragrance style. This is one of the standout discoveries in this video and an excellent daytime scent for spring, summer, and work. The last one is Millennium, inspired by Creed Millésime Impérial. Millennium opens with citrus and sea salt before moving into melon and iris. Amber, musk, and soft woods create a warmer, more substantial dry down. The salty citrus and watery melon immediately establish the golden breezy personality associated with Millésime Impérial. Compared with Creed, Barrett's version is sweeter, fuller, and less delicate. The original has a beautiful sparkling transparency, but its performance is notoriously limited. Millennium attempts to address that weakness by strengthening the musky, woody, and amber elements. It may not reproduce every subtle detail, but it provides a more persistent version of the same upscale summer profile. This is an attractive option for anyone who loves Millésime Impérial, but is frustrated by its performance. Barrett represents a newer generation of American fragrance houses, smaller batches, powerful concentrations, and close interaction with fragrance enthusiasts. It was also one of the pleasant surprises of this project, particularly with Starboy, with Meteor being one of my favorite scents. One Final House takes another distinctive approach, offering compact, X-rayed bottles designed to be easy to sample, carry, and reapply. For that, we are going to travel back to New York to review Inspired by Scent. Now, Inspired by Scent is a boutique house specializing in concentrated extrait fragrances sold primarily in smaller, travel-friendly bottles. Now, the company emphasizes its use of food-grade ethanol and cosmetic-grade aroma materials, which it says are intended to provide a cleaner and smoother experience. Here are my initial impressions of the 3 fragrances from this house. Number 3, Imagine Bloom Parfum, inspired by Louis Vuitton Imagination. Imagine Bloom opens with bergamot and ginger before developing into neroli, tea, woods, and a clean ambery foundation. The opening is bright and relatively smooth, without an excessive harsh alcohol blast. The ginger creates energy while the tea and amber notes establish the familiar polished personality associated with Imagination. Compared with Louis Vuitton, it has less depth and does not transition as naturally, but the overall direction is immediately recognizable. My initial tests indicate good performance. This is a clean and versatile everyday option made even more practical by the compact bottle. Next is 52 Arctic Rain Parfum, inspired by Parfum de Marly Sadly. Arctic Rain is built around citrus, bergamot, grapefruit, and spearmint, lavender, raspberry, and dry woods. The opening is cold, bright, and noticeably mint-forward. It immediately creates the refreshing sensation associated with Sadly, although Arctic Rain feels sharper and more aggressively cooling. As it settles, lavender and raspberry creates a clean, aromatic character, while the woods prevent it from smelling like a simple citrus body spray. I still need more time to judge its complete performance. This is a promising option for extreme heat workouts and anyone who loves cold, minty, aromatic fragrances. Next is number 37, Imperial Gold Parfum, inspired by Creed Millésime Impérial. Imperial Gold opens with sea salt, ripe fruit, and Sicilian lemon before settling into a soft, musky, and woody base. It captures the central contrast of Millésime Impérial, sparkling citrus, salty air, juicy fruit, and a smooth golden warmth. Compared with Creed, Imperial Gold feels sweeter and denser. The original is airier and more delicate, but Inspired by Scent's version provides a stronger projection and persistence. My initial impression is very positive. After testing these 8 American fragrance houses, the biggest lesson is that they are not all trying to do the same thing. Here is the simplest way I can summarize them, in my opinion. For beginners, Old Fragrances offers recognizable inspiration and one of the easiest shopping experiences. For detailed interpretations, Montagne Perfumes focuses on structure, smooth dry downs, and recreating more than just the opening. For power and variety, the Dua brand delivers enormous selection, strong concentration, and discontinued profiles. For experience and catalog depth, Alexandria fragrances remain one of the established names in the American inspiration market. For a smaller curated selection, the Clone keeps the choices focused and the inspirations easy to understand. For presentation and mainstream accessibility, Oakcha offers some of the most polished bottles and social media visibility. For concentrated reinterpretations, Barrett fragrances adds weight and performance to familiar scent profiles. For compact extrait bottles inspired by scent, offers travel-friendly formats that make sampling and reapplication convenient. And among the individual fragrances, Torino 21, Imaginary, Image, Starboy, Pacific Soul, Millennium, Saxophone, and Dusk were some of the releases that stood out most during the round of testing. All of the fragrances featured today will receive complete individual reviews with verified note breakdowns, performance tests, direct comparisons with the originals, and final similarity percentages. Dupe will also appear in a future video once the fragrances arrive and I have enough time to test them properly. Now, I want to hear from you. Which American fragrance house should I test more deeply in the next video? Leave your choice in the comments. Some links in the description may be affiliate links. They do not increase your cost, but they may help support the channel. For more fragrance comparisons, note breakdowns, and affordable alternatives, please like the video and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching.